All right, we are live. I think we're live. Are we live, you guys? Are y'all here? Did you just see me like capture selfie mode, like out of control over there? It's a little hard to get that little thumbnail action going on. We got the peeps online. What's happening? So glad you guys are here. I'm just hanging out today. I have zero objectives. Is that bad? Am I supposed to have like a plan for what we're supposed to talk about? That would probably be good. But I just wanted to just do a general little hangout with you guys, see what's happening, see if you had any questions, update you with things that are happening. So we got Jessica, we got Marley. Maybe some of you are over with me over on Instagram all of like a couple seconds ago hanging out. But yeah, if you have questions, certainly feel free to shout them out. Antonio, Paul, oh my gosh, all these fun people. I'm so, hey, Pam's here. Awesome. You guys are jumping over from Instagram. So anyways, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat. So as you have questions, feel free to pop those in there. Sweden. Now I'm curious to know, because I do know that I heard from a couple people who are like, okay, if you're doing this at 12 p.m. your time, Joni, which is here in the US in Arizona, that's going to be like 2 a.m. other places. So I am curious. Oh, Mohammed, hopefully you hang in there. So I'm curious where you're at right now. What time is it? Okay, just post it in the comments because I think it'll be wildly entertaining. And if any of you are all up in like the middle of the night, you can go to bed because this will be recorded. You can see it tomorrow. 7 p.m. in London. Oh, then I hit like prime time in the UK. That's exciting. Very nice. Will I do reviews on the 5D Mark IV? Oh my God, I love my 5D Mark IV. So the thing is with camera reviews, I am certainly happy the further I get into creating videos to do some specific gear reviews. My concern is that, that alienates certain people who don't have that camera. So, I'll keep those sweet and short. But for right now, my main focus on the Bite Shot is to keep content super general and super applicable to photographers of all skills, especially folks just starting out. We've got 1 a.m.ers, 8:30, 11 a.m. in California. Very nice. The Transylvanian farmers from California. I kind of like that. So anyway, so as far as just the content goes, though, I'm really trying to keep it like good foundation. Because when I created this channel, I created it thinking like, this is the channel I wanted to create if I had, like when I had first started out, right? Like this would have been a resource that had I just been starting out that I desperately would have loved to have. So I'm hopefully providing that for some of you guys out there who are maybe just getting started, or you've been doing photography for a while and you're self-taught and you're like, oh my gosh, these are things that, I would have loved to know. So it's hopefully that'll be helpful. Let's see. Yes, the number, Saib K, the number of subscribers is jumping drastically. Like we had 2,000 new subscribers last week. It is literally blowing my mind. And I'm just like so thankful for you guys because seriously, it's just such a positive audience here on YouTube as well as the Facebook group. So I am just like tickled pink and absolutely beyond flattered. So thank you for being here with me. All right. So there's a question about Nikon versus Canon. And if you are purchasing a camera, and my thoughts on I've owned a Nikon, I own Canons now, I own a Sony now, I have a lot of different cameras. And actually I did an interview with a photographer who is going to be, I'm going to feature that interview on the channel here very shortly. He is extremely talented. He actually did like a one-on-one with Ansel Adams at one point. So the guy is freaking legit. And I said, a lot of first-time photographers or people who are just setting out are always curious, like, what camera do I buy? What brand? And he said, well, just buy what you can afford, buy what makes sense to you, because honestly, it's not going to be your last camera. And that is like, so true. So anyway, more about that coming soon. But, I think that all cameras are a little different. You're going to definitely get in and you'll learn stuff about it. For me, I just personally prefer Canon, but that's like a personal taste thing. And that, it's a journey. Photography is a journey. So let's see what else. Cocktail photography, yes. Juan Pablo, you have definitely dropped that. A couple people have dropped that. I was actually on location for a cocktail shoot last week. So definitely I'm looking forward to sharing that with you, just as far as, what are the things you need to think about when you're photographing drinks as opposed to food. So I'm looking forward to do that. Yeah, oh, for sure. And investing in the lenses is almost more important than the body. I mean, the body of your camera is great, but the lenses is where it's at. All right. You had a question about my tripod. If you have a specific question about the tripod, a lot of people have requested, strange enough, I mean, maybe not strangely enough, maybe this is something that would be super helpful, but lots and lots of requests for me to just demonstrate and walk through how to use a C-stand. So I use a C-stand for my overhead photography, overhead, like hands-only tasty videos. I use it for mounting lights. I use it for mounting diffuser. I mean, I mount all sorts of stuff on it. A C-stand is a super helpful, versatile piece of equipment. So I will definitely be doing a video on that coming soon. I've got the backdrops video coming soon. That's actually coming Thursday after I wrap up here. I'm going to do some more B-roll shots for that. So hopefully that'll be super helpful for you guys. If I could only buy one lens. So my recommendation, I mean, of course you'll have the kit lens. And I usually always tell people then the very first lens to buy is the 50mm f1.8, both because it's super affordable just in terms of the way that lenses go, that, you know, $150, $125, that's not a lot to spend on a lens. And so that is going to be your most versatile lens. It's going to do overheads. It'll do portraits. It's not necessarily going to do interiors if you're going to start doing, you know, architectural, but it's just a great all around across the board lens. But then when it gets into like my favorite lens, and you guys probably have seen this, I absolutely love my 100mm f2.8 macro lens. And for food photography, a macro lens is super duper helpful just because you're going to get some really nice texture. You're going to get some really great definition. And at 100mm, the background is kind of compressed a little bit. And you'll kind of notice this if you're not super familiar with how focal lengths work. So you've got 50mm and then you've got 100mm. And if you just had a side-by-side of those two images, same thing, shot just at different focal lengths, you'll see the background is scrunched down, kind of compressed. When you hear compression, that's what we're talking about on that 100mm. And that just really looks great for food because it really drives your eye into the food. So I always tell people start with the 50mm, but then I personally love the 100mm, although I know there's plenty of food photographers out there who just totally adore like even longer focal lengths. I just feel like 100 is perfect for the kind of shots that I'm taking. So hopefully that's helpful. I also own a 24 to 70mm f2.8. It's a very expensive lens. It's a zoom lens, but I really like that one for situations when I need versatility and maybe I'm in a shoot where I'm jumping between things, like I'm doing shots of the chef and I'm, you know, at a restaurant, I'm doing that kind of photography. I'm jumping into overhead shots. I'm doing straight on shots. So that's a really great versatile lens, but I believe, I mean, I could be wrong. It's like a $1,500 lens. So, I mean, lenses are expensive. You guys probably already know this. Oh, thank you, Christina. I think it's a Smashbox lipstick. So, let's see what else. Bob, are you rambling? Don't ramble, Bob. I love Bob. Bob's a rock star. So Mona is asking, what do I use most for overhead flat lay? Are you talking for lenses? As far as the lens for overhead flat lay, I'm usually using my 24 to 70 just because, again, I've got that flexibility because of the zoom. A 50mm would be great because, of course, you've got that in between the 24 to 70 and you can hike up the C-stand up and down to get the proper view of everything that you're doing overhead. But 24 to 70, I really like using that one just because I have a lot of flexibility that if I want to zoom in closer on the food or if I want to really get a bigger picture of the whole spread or zoom in at 70, or I can, you know, zoom out at like 24 so I can get more of a full picture of the table. So that's something that I like to use for overheads. Oh my goodness, absolutely. Feel free to go post this over in the Bite Shop Facebook group. And any of you who are here who are not in the Bite Shop Facebook group, feel free to jump in there. I'm going to leave a little comment here. So facebook.com groups the Bite Shop. And that is our Facebook group. Let's see if tell me if that link doesn't work because I've had issues in the past with links not working here. But that is, therefore, okay, good. So the Bite Shop Facebook group, really fun place to hang out if you want to share your work, get some constructive criticism. I really, really strive for that group to be a very positive place. So we do have some standards, and we do ask questions before you get into the group. So do make sure to fill those out. We just want to make sure everybody is, following the rules and understands, what's the purpose of our group. We're, very positive, encouraging, although I definitely believe that constructive criticism is one of the most powerful things for your growth. But I think that it has to be delivered tactfully and kindly, and be very specific when you're sharing with people about how they can improve their work. So definitely go check it out. Oh, and let's see. Oh, good. I'm glad you're having fun, Jessica. How much distance do you need to take an in-focus shot with a lens? So as far as the distance, well, I mean, it depends on how you're shooting, setting up the shot. One of the things with a macro lens is that you can get really super close up. So like I posted a picture on Instagram, try setting the focus and it just won't focus, be too close. But that's the magic of a macro lens. You can be right up on that BlackBerry and get really great sharp focus. But one of the things that you can do with a macro lens too, though, is shoot a little further back, and you're still going to get that nice background compression that we talked about here just a little bit ago. And you'll also just get really nice definition in the food. And actually, Dennis the Prescott, who probably a bunch of you know him from Instagram, also here on YouTube, he has a great YouTube channel, and he did a tutorial on what is his favorite lens to use for food photography, and it's actually the 100mm. So definitely go watch that video. He explains a bit more in depth, a little bit more in detail as to why that's such a great lens. Let's see. Let's see. It's a bit tricky to explain. Oh, Max Snapshot, glad that you like the videos. Yeah, Marley, I've been seeing you rock it with that macro lens and that dark food photography, girlfriend. You are killing it. So Dennis the Prescott, let me pull up his YouTube channel real quick. If you don't follow him, he's amazing on Instagram. He's amazing everywhere, but YouTube.com. Dennis the Prescott. It is cold in my studio today. My fingers are freezing. Whew. So frozen. Okay, here is his thing. Oh, Dan, you've got a 90mm tilt shift. I'm super jealous. I so want a tilt shift lens. That would just be, that's like next big investment. But a macro 100 overhead could be tricky just because you're going to need to get a lot of distance because that's a very long focal length. So you're going to have to be really up high, maybe even more so than just standing on a table. You'd really need to hoist that up. So generally for an overhead shot, I'm not going to recommend going past the 70 range. You could, you totally can. And I've done it before too. It's just, you're going to really have to do some work to make sure that you're high enough that you're actually getting the subject. A business tip. Well, do you have a specific business tip or thing about business of food photography you're asking about? And did the link to Mr. Dennis Prescott work? Let me know if it didn't. Let's see. So as far as from a business perspective, I mean, I think that if you are looking to get into food photography as a full-time job, do know that it is a hardcore hustle. There's no bones about it. You can be an amazing, talented photographer, but if you're not willing to, keep hunting, keep finding clients, keep on top of the current clients you have, continue to serve them, it's all about communication, and it's really all about understanding vision. And I do think as a food photographer, you do have to have a lot of versatility in your repertoire. So if you are like super talented when it comes to those really bright, light, area ethereal, it would be good to sort of experiment with some darker photography or stuff that's a bit more contrasty or just different styles because, for every client I work with, each of them has a different style. And I feel like that's something that I really strive for in my business is that you can look at a photo and certainly know if I've created it for a client, but at the same time, it's not as much about me and my style. It's more so about their brand and their style. So I think that's really something as a food photographer to have a lot of range and versatility if you're looking to pick up a lot of different types of clients. Let's see. So question about reaching out to clients. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I have done it on Instagram. I have done it through Facebook Messenger. That's another place, because generally what you're trying to find are the people who handle the marketing for that brand or for that company. And so the way to seek those people out, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I've done it through trade shows. There's a lot of ways to go about it, but some of my most successful, and some of my most random, like I'll tell you a story about when so all of my food photography started out as a food blogger. And one of my very first posts on my blog was this parfait that I almost didn't even post because I was like, this is nothing special. But it had Sara Lee pound cake in it. And so I was like, it's fine. It's good, whatever. So I posted this recipe, tagged Sara Lee, tagged them on Instagram, tagged them on Facebook, and then also sent them a direct message saying, hey, I just posted this recipe. It's got pictures of the pound cake, and, I'm a big fan, whatever, and kind of left it at that. Well, then about a month later, it took a while, but about a month later, they reached out and said, hey, so you do photography, right? We really like the pictures of that parfait. One of our other divisions, which is actually a corn dog division of all bizarre things, has some need for photography, and we'd be curious to get your rates. And so that was a place where, I was just being generous with my content. I was sharing it with the brand. So, certainly if you ever take shots and it includes a product, it includes a brand, be sure to send it to them. Again, Facebook Messenger, I feel like is a great place to do that, because that's a lot of times where the PR and marketing folks are hanging out, or you can send a direct message on Instagram. And then you just never know. And so you do enough of those, and then you start to work with those people, and then you find out who those other people know. And it's a nice little referral situation. So hopefully that helps you out. So Stephanie, great question about stock. I personally have never had a lot of luck with doing stock photography. I feel like there's people who do really well at that. I just don't have the patience for it, I guess. I've done some. I had some general cocktail photos. I had some general food photos, but when it comes to stock photography, they do have to be more of the general images, like a really great strawberry picture, or, this very particular dish that a lot of people would want stock photography for. But a lot of the work that I do is custom created for a specific client. So it's usually a restaurant who needs restaurant photography, or that is for a brand who they specifically have this recipe that they want styled in a specific way with this product, featuring this product. And so those wouldn't be good stock images. And also the way that the rights are sold on those, I would not be able to resell those. But there are a lot of people, as far as Shutterstock, of course, is one. I have done work in the past for Shutterstock's custom division. So if you go to custom.shutterstock.com, this is a great place to start, especially if you're starting out. You do need a portfolio, but you can apply to become a photographer for them, and they will send you different projects that you could then be a photographer for. So go check that out. It is, I'll leave it right here, custom.shutterstock. Oh, it's so cold. My hands are like slow. There we go. See if that works. All right. A whole division dedicated to corn dogs. Yes. I did. Oh my gosh. I had so many corn dogs in my freezer. I have, of course, my main house refrigerator, and then I have a second refrigerator with a freezer, and then I have a dedicated deep freezer. And literally, it was so hilarious. There was this box like this big, huge, full of corn dogs. It was insane. It was kind of gross. You have to really like corn dogs. Have you tried a close panorama shot with a macro lens? I have not, Chase. I don't do much panorama. I can't say I've actually done panorama. So that's on my to-do list. I'll definitely do some research on that and let you know. If anybody else in here has got some input about panoramas, I'd love to hear that. Let's see. How does it work from your studio clients? Will you let them cook yourself and then take pictures? So Busy Moms has got a question as far as the photography. Am I doing it in the studio? Am I doing it at the client's place? So the majority of the kind of work that I do and the brands that I work with, because I am a mom and I have two little munchkins who you've probably seen running around. They're at school right now. So I need the ability to work from home. And so having my studio at home is really, really helpful. So a lot of the projects that I'm doing, I am styling and shooting myself. I work very closely with the PR and marketing, or maybe some sort of art director, depends on the brand, but they dictate exactly the shots that they want. I understand all of that. We go back and forth as far as vision, you know, any sort of sketches we need to provide. And then from there, I do all the content creation, all the image creation. And that's how we do it. But there are definitely, as far as on location, I have done some on location, not as much recipe stuff. I haven't worked with a ton of agencies in that regard, although there's plenty of folks out there who do. I'm trying to think offhand who does a lot of that. If there's some folks, I'll definitely post it in the comments after. But then the other kind of on location shoots that I do are generally restaurants. So photographing their menu or doing promotional photography. There's a Mexican food restaurant here in town that I've done a lot of stuff for, and that's going to go, you know, anywhere from billboards to magazines to all sorts of stuff. And then I do some magazine work, but generally it's not the best paying in my experience. And maybe that's just the magazines that I'm talking to. So just fair warning, don't rule out magazines. Just everybody's got their own personal experience. Yes, Veronica, I do tasty style videos. I actually just finished editing one for a client. I don't do much of that. It's not really where my heart is. I really, really love still images. That's where my happy place is. And so that's the majority of the work I do. But if somebody's willing to pay good money, then I'm, you know, happy to do a video for them. And I learned everything I know about video, including creating the YouTube videos that I create. That's all thanks to my friends over at the Blog Village. So if you go to theblogvillage.com, they have a video course. I took it. It's not cheap, but it is well worth every single penny you pay for it. And it's also helpful if you want to start a blog or an online business. They've got tons of great resources there, but they taught me everything I know about editing in Adobe Premiere, everything I know about getting good shots on video, because video is a whole different animal, in my opinion, compared to still photography. I mean, there's a lot of things that if you know about photography, it helps, of course, for video, but video is a whole other animal. Can you do a video on what each editing tool does in a Lightbox and when you should use it? I know you have a couple of videos on, Lightroom. You talk about Lightroom, Transylvanian Farmer. Yes, there have been a ton of questions about Lightroom because there are so many tools in there. So I definitely have some videos on that upcoming. I mean, literally, you guys have been so amazing. I've got a list of at least 30 videos coming up. So and at one a week, then that's going to keep me busy for the better part of this year. But definitely I want to show you guys, probably next we'll get into radial filters and localized filters, because those can really add a lot of dimension and interest to your shots. So definitely more Lightroom tutorials coming. Let's see. Richard's asking about Sigma 33mm f1.4 art lens. So I have never personally shot any Sigma art lenses, but man, I would love to. And certainly I know a lot of people who absolutely love those. Those are very high quality glass. You know, when you're investing in lenses, it's all about the glass. For my Sony, my mirrorless camera, I have some Zeiss lenses, and I mean, they're just like butter. They're beautiful. And those are great too for being out and about and more on the go photography, which is when I use my Sony. But yeah, definitely that sounds like a great lens. 33mm though, you're going to get a little bit of distortion because 33mm, you know, 50 being sort of like that true box square without like the little distortion on the edges. 33, you're going to get a little distortion. I'm not sure exactly for that particular lens, maybe not so much, but I don't do too much photography in the in that realm, other than maybe large space overhead shots. So 33 wouldn't necessarily be a go-to lens for me, but depends on your style of photography. Maybe you do a lot of flat lays, larger image, bigger, wider shots, then that would definitely be great. Let's see what else we got. Jessica wants to know fill space. If you recall, the pudding image recently posted, my thirds and negative space was off. I have a hard time filling the screen correctly and making it look natural. So Jessica, sounds like you're talking about composition questions. Is that it? Let me know if I'm off base. But definitely I've been trying to ponder like what's the best way to attack composition, because yeah, I mean, if composition's such, I mean, there's so many keys to photography, right? Like any one image that you look at, there's like a bazillion little tiny details that go into like why is it so amazing. But definitely composition is a huge part of it. And actually, if you guys don't know her, Rachel over at Two Love Studio, she's actually got a brand new course course. I can definitely link it in the comments. I don't have it offhand, so I'll link it after the video in the comment section when this is posted for replay. But Rachel has got a really great course. I mean, I haven't gone through it, but I can only imagine because she's got great content, course that is all about composition. It's like that is what the course is about. So you should definitely go check it out. To Love Studio. tolovesstudio.com. You should probably, if you go to her website, you can probably go find then her e-course from there. So let's see. Do you differentiate the work of different food photographers? Is there a work class or something? Is there a place in the sense of quality you want to reach, or is it just work? Are you talking about for me personally? And work for different photographers. Trying to totally understand what you're getting at, but I mean, if you're asking as far as like what are we striving for as photographers, I would say it's a constant journey. I mean, I've got a friend who is an extremely accomplished photographer. He gets flown all over the world. He does a lot of sports photography, celebrity photography. And even he will tell you that he doesn't know everything and that he's still learning, and that he always wants to continue to learn. And I think that's why photography is fun. I also think that's why it's frustrating, because you're like, oh, I just want to know it all right now. But you will never know it all. And that's what's encouraging. But yeah, I think we're always all trying to personally improve our work. I know I am. So thanks for stopping by, Juan Pablo. It's good to see you. Glad to know that you guys are enjoying the videos though too. And certainly, even though I've got my list of like 30 videos long of requests, I am always loving additional requests. So feel free to send those to me. You can message me on Instagram or Facebook. I just like literally have a running document on Trello. Trello is how I keep myself organized. If you guys don't know that one, here, let's Trello.com. Great free service for any of those of you who need help keeping your life organized like I do. So I literally just have a document going in Trello where I just keep track of all your requests. Let's see. So let's see. Your pictures and look. All right, so Chanel asked, your pictures and the tutorials look almost noise-free. Are you planning to teach some noise reduction tips in the future? Absolutely, that's a great request. And certainly it's a combination of the light and the editing. So definitely I will stick that on my list. Let me see if I have something to write on. I'll just put it in here, right here. Okay. Perfect. Great question. And I will definitely post this afterward. So if you want to rewatch, go back through anything, you can definitely do that. Is full frame or crop sensor better for food photography? Well, I would say whatever you can afford is better for food photography. So the first, so I started doing food photography professionally, like literally making my full-time income off of food photography about 2.5 years ago. I've been shooting though for the better part of 8, but 2.5 years ago is when the business part of it started. And I had a crop sensor camera. That was my 70D, which you'll still see floating into, you know, tutorials as well as my Instagram account. And that's a crop sensor camera. It's a rather affordable camera and as far as cameras go. And that, I love that. I mean, so it's my baby. Like I pick it up and I just ease right back into it. Now I did recently add the 5D Mark IV to my collection, which is a full frame camera. And I love it, but more so, I mean, as much as the crop sensor versus the full frame is a different feeling, there's different ways in terms of how far close you're going to be, how it's going to react with the lenses and the light and all these things. The two reasons that I went from the 70D to the 5D Mark IV was because I wanted the ability to really crank up the ISO a lot more, or the ISO, however you want to call it. Because on the 70D, really, if I went anywhere above ISO 400, I started to get some noise and it started to feel grainy. Whereas on the 5D Mark IV, I mean, I did a picture last week because it was in natural light and I didn't have the ability to really manipulate the light too much. So I really had to crank the ISO, and I think I had it at like 2800 and it still looked crisp. I was like, this is why I bought this camera. And then I also bought it for the megapixels because I'm trying to remember, I think the 70D is somewhere around 20, 24 megapixels, and the 5D Mark IV is 30. And so that was definitely an upgrade of megapixels. So just in terms of the resolution, I've got a lot larger file size. So some of the restaurant clients that I have, when they want to be able to really blow those images up large, maybe for like a billboard or an in-store poster, that they're not losing any of the quality because it's a really nice large image size. So so that was more so for me. It wasn't really this, I mean, the quality of the sensor is important, but for me, going from crop sensor to full frame, it's not the most important thing. So when people are like, you know, it's not a hill that I'm going to go die on and say, you have to shoot full frame. You don't. I mean, I had a successful business that replaced my prior day job income with a crop sensor camera. So it's totally good. Megapixels. Okay, let's see. Tips on exporting. So if you have not checked out Travis Transient here on YouTube, I can pull up his channel. Let me see. Travis Transient. Here he is. He is awesome. We've actually connected. Super nice guy. Super talented photographer and videographer. Let me drop this in for you guys. Sorry, doing the typing. Can't think and talk at the same time. I wish I was that talented. Okay, here we go. If you want tips on exporting Lightroom, Photoshop, I mean, he's like a ninja in Photoshop and Lightroom. I think he just uploaded a new video about Lightroom today. I've learned a ton from his channel. So he has got a great video all about exporting to Instagram and how to optimize that. I learned a bunch of new stuff over there, so definitely go check him out. But Jessica, definitely, if you have, are there specific questions about exporting? Definitely let me know. Oh, for web, print, poster, blog, yes. Stay tuned for that, Jessica, because there's things to know about quality of color and how they're printing, and oh my gosh, so much to go into it. Let's see. Hello, David from Australia. Oh, Stephanie, I'm sorry you have bad internet. So one thing, if you guys haven't gotten it already, let me pull this up. So I've got the free ebook. Did you guys all download the free ebook? Yes, maybe so. If you didn't and you want to grab it, it's right here. It's all about how to start in the world of food photography, how to get your very first gig. So feel free to download. Stephanie's got it. Christina's got, of course, you guys all got it. Justin, go grab it. It's hopefully it's helpful. It's a good sort of starter guide, but I do have more coming down the pike in the next couple months, a more premium content platform, just in terms of some videos that would really take you inside the restaurant, actually participating in the shoot, that kind of thing. So those are coming very soon. I cannot wait to share those with you. Good. Glad you guys have all got it. So let's see. We've been going 32 minutes. For goodness sakes, you guys just got me talking. Huda, yes, question about the backdrop. So we'll be doing backdrop DIYs on Thursday. So look for that video. But definitely there's a lot to know in how to pick that. And there's been a lot of questions and an upcoming tutorial request for how to pick props, how to really pick the right, you know, colors and mood, and, you know, just how do you decide backdrops and napkins and props? How do you decide which ones to do for the food that you're shooting? So if you're shooting, you know, some sort of spätzle, right, and you've got this beautiful dish, but like what's going to go best with it? So I definitely have a video coming soon on the request list to talk about that. All right. Let's see. Do I do live streams every week? I haven't before, but I did one 2 weeks ago. If you want me to do a weekly live stream, I'm happy to. I don't know if there's enough for me to talk about. I guess. If you want to see me do a weekly live stream, let me know. I'm happy to do it. Oh, you're from Egypt. Very good. Oh, see, there's people from all over the world. This is why YouTube is so much fun. It's not just people from my own backyard. Do you usually work with in-house chefs, hire food stylists? So Joshua, definitely great question. When I'm shooting on location, it totally depends on where the image is being used, and second, what's the budget. So if the shots are purely like something that's quick and dirty is what I call it, something that you just need to get in, get the shot, and maybe it's going in the newspaper, because like newspapers, they don't need big fancy images typically. In different media outlets, they don't need like the super stylized images. They literally just need a shot of the food that looks quality, high enough resolution that they can throw it in. And so in those situations, like there's a breakfast place that I've done a lot of that for. They get featured in a lot of local stuff, and they're like, hey, we've got this new omelet. We just need a quick and dirty shot of it. I'll run in, the chef has the food prepared. He takes care of it. I might zhuzh it a little bit just to make sure it looks, clean, wipe the edges, any sort of little adjustments. But I'm not doing any massive styling or setting up of the scene or anything like that. So those are great. But then there's plenty of restaurants that I do work with that need really highly stylized images that they are planning for, their marketing brochures or for their, the main header of their website. And they really want to communicate a feeling and a vibe. Then in those situations, definitely it's the best is to hire a food stylist. And I'm not a professional food stylist. I know enough to be dangerous. And certainly I've got a couple videos here on the channel about that. But I love when there's budget to hire a food stylist, because then I can really focus on the camera. And I don't have to worry about, is the cilantro really looking super fresh? Or do we need to spritz this up a bit? Or, just some of those little detail-y things, which having a great food stylist, there's a gal who I've worked with a lot here in town who's my absolute favorite. Maybe we'll get her on a video pretty soon. And she's just a ninja, right? Like I'm all keyed on the camera stuff, and then she's just zipping in, fixing stuff, adjusting stuff. And then two, it's a really fun collaborative relationship where we're kind of working together to decide on, well, maybe we should throw this napkin in or this plate in or, different props. So it's a lot of fun to work with a food stylist. All right. Could you give an advice on how to price the charges for shooting? A cookbook contains around 120 dishes. Holy buckets, Hussein. That is quite that is a lot of shooting. So much of it depends on a million different things. So there are some good pricing guides. There's actually a book. I will link it after here. I'm not going to go find it right now, but I'll definitely link it afterward as far as a good pricing guide. Because things that you got to consider when you're pricing yourself. Are you doing the styling? Somebody else doing the styling? Does the publication or whoever's taking the images want full exclusive rights to those and the full copyright? Or are you retaining copyright with the ability to resell them later? How stylized do they want these images? Are you going on location for these images? Are they all being shot in one day? I mean, there's so many things. And so each individual quote is a custom thing. So I'm working with my designer and some other folks on creating a template that you could be able to just plug in those sort of things and create a bottom line. Because right now for me, I personally do each one custom, and it's sort of taking a lot of time. So I'm trying to create the tool for me and then be able to share it with you guys so that as you are building those quotes for people, that you know that your butt is covered in all these various little outlets. So definitely coming soon. You do a lot of Facebook Lives with 2 other food blogger friends. So fun, Heidi. Oh, what a fun time. You take turns doing it at each other's house. That's a great idea. Are there basic templates for contracts in varying scenarios? So Snap Vegan, there is a great, the contract shop, which is actually the template for the contract that I personally use is actually in the ebook. So if you jump over to the ebook, I think it's on page 3 or 4, there is a link to that. And so the contract shop, I forget the gal's name who runs that, but it's all, they're like lock solid, awesome contracts. They're not cheap, but then again, neither is a lawyer. So, and once you have it, and then you can continue to use it. So that is who I got my contract for them, and I totally love that. When it comes, okay, so Marcin wants to know, advising you when it comes to photographing baby food. Well, that is a tricky thing for sure, because I'm assuming it's a puree of sorts. Well, I would say have some cute little jars, have some little, my vision, like if I had to shoot, a carrot puree, I'd get some cute little mason jars, those little mini, I've got some of them here, some little mini mason jars. And then, definitely have a cute little spoon, and it's all about the styling. I feel like you'd really have to rock the styling, have some cute napkins, kind of set up a scene. That's how I would do it. But definitely baby food would be challenging. But you want to know what is I think it's the most challenging food? It's quesadillas. Quesadillas are a pain in the neck. If any of you who are out there are rock stars at photographing quesadillas, please share it with your girl over here, because I had a shoot 2 weeks ago with quesadillas, and I just wanted to literally throw those quesadillas at the wall. They just They're hard to shoot. They're hard to get what's on the inside of them. They're just kind of boring otherwise. I hate quesadillas. Let's see. Oh, yeah, don't make babies into food. That's no good. All right. I have done a little bit, Douglas, of shooting Brazilian food. There is a place here in town that serves Brazilian food, and it's not one of those like endless meat kind of places. It's more of the traditional Brazilian cuisine, and it was fun, a lot of fun, really beautiful food. Let's see. Okay, so regarding artificial light, I won't be able to get a low ego lighting in my country. Is the best, cheaper alternative a speed light or a softbox diffuser with bulbs? So definitely what I would recommend is going, I mean, it totally depends on your scenario, your situation, but getting a good cheap speed light, good direction to go. And actually, so I mainly use for artificial light my big LED panel, but that is by no means cost effective. I do love it and it's fantastic and it meets all of my personal needs. But because there have been a lot of questions about using speed lights, I have actually purchased a set. Oh, Ryan's here. Ryan, you want to come say hi to YouTube? He just got home. Oh, look, he's got a perfect shirt for this. Oh, show him your shirt.
Hi, YouTube.
Ooh, oh, it's backwards. Is it backwards for you guys?
Here, can you read it now?
Oh, what does it say over there?
Create every day.
He's creating every day. Ryan's an artist too. Isn't he cute? Oh, he's got the beard and everything. But it's not an ironic hipster beard. It's like
it's a literal beard.
So this is the guy who keeps everything under wraps around here. He was doing laundry earlier. It takes a real man to do the laundry, I think.
It does, yeah. So, we make a lot of laundry, oddly.
I know, but while I create YouTube videos, Ryan does the laundry and a lot of other things. He's building a planter box for us right now.
Garden time.
Yep, and we're going to get a bunny and some goats. It's going to be crazy around here. So,
start a farm.
I'm going to start a farm, but anyway.
But first, I need to create myself a sandwich.
Okay, you go make yourself a sandwich.
Bye, guys.
Go enjoy your lunch. Full beard. Oh, they all say hello.
Bye.
So I tutorial coming soon on how to use speed lights, because that's definitely, I mean, you can get into the speed light arena for under $200 and be pretty darn dangerous. So that coming soon for sure. David James, that's why I like you. Doing the laundry, the cooking, the ironing. I can't say the last time I ironed, other than I ironed the napkins for styling a lot. All right, so Verna's recipe wants to know tips for styling decorated sugar cookies that are detailed. I always worry about adding elements to the background. It becomes too overwhelming and losing focus on the cookie themselves. Totally, Verna's recipe, I hear you, because if you've got some sort of dish that can be otherwise busy. So my recommendation was doing something that might be a really ornate cookie. Definitely look for inspiration online. There's no shame in that game. Anytime that I am personally stuck and I'm like, back to the quesadillas, I'm like, how am I going to style this thing? Because I'm just not happy with these quesadillas and they're driving me nuts. I am known to jump online and look at how other people have done it. But definitely probably a minimalistic approach in terms of props and such, just so that you don't, like you said, lose the focus. So getting a really nice muted background. Again, Thursday's video will be all about backgrounds and creating some of your own. So getting one that really complements. I would think with cookies, you're thinking of, a bright and happy and cheery. So maybe some sort of like muted blues, some sort of watercolory quality to that backdrop. So then you can really put the cookies on there and, really accentuate then those details. Because that's the magic of those cookies, right? I got to think, is that really pretty decor? And then too, with the cookies, creating sort of patterns and symmetry. One of my favorite things is, so every year we do a big cookie decorating extravaganza with my family for Christmas. We didn't do it this year because it was crazy, but what I love to do is get a bunch of them and line them up in sort of a pattern and then do an overhead flat lay like that. That could be a really fun thing to do. So play around with patterns and symmetry. You could also too maybe get some sort of shallow little baskets or something like that, and maybe just some really nice simple napkins, like some sort of beiges or light grays, some, again, muted colors so they're not overpowering your really beautiful cookies. And then just making sure to wash them, and so that they don't have any hard lines on them. Iron them, and then rumple them up just a little bit in that basket and put the cookies kind of lined up like that. That could be an idea. So just putting it out there. All right, let's see. What was your most difficult food or food shoot? I mean, I definitely think when I was first starting out, I remember one of my first shoots that I did that was like by myself, and I was doing the styling at my house and doing it for a client. And I mean, I was so worked up because it was one of my first paying gigs, and I was so wound up. I only had to shoot one recipe, but it was a shot list that included 6 different shots. So they needed this many horizontal, this many vertical, this many that were close up, this many that were kind of wide out, some with the product, some without the product. And I think that so much of what made that stressful was that it was just my own mental situation of like, I've never done this before and feeling super insecure about it. So I feel like dealing with insecurity as a photographer is so such an important thing. Because I mean, you find me a photographer out there who doesn't have some sort of insecurity, and I will be very impressed, because I really think that for the most part, any sort of artist out there has some sort of like, oh, it could be better. It's not perfect and all these things. So, that first gig, one of those first gigs, it was really about just mentally getting through it. But there's just a lot that I didn't know. And I know that I didn't really understand the idea of having, if I was doing straight on shots, having a really good looking background. So I'm sure if I look back at those shots, I'd be like, should have had a good background. But that was early on, before I had done too many shoots. And I was nervous to take the job, but I'm glad I did. And I've always been glad in situations where I didn't feel necessarily like I was prepared enough, or not that I wasn't prepared enough, but, especially early on, that I was taking some shoots that I was like, am I really qualified enough to do this? I mean, don't do something you're clearly unqualified for. But if it's sort of a little stretch, I think those little stretches are really so important, because that really gives you a deadline. It gives you something to work toward. It pushes you. And, again, I think of those shots, I probably delivered a total of 10 shots to that client for that particular shoot. And I probably worked like 8 hours on it, which now, I mean, 10 shots, I can bang that out, depending on how complicated the recipe is and everything going on with it, how many different types of shots, overheads and sides and things like that, 2 hours, 3 hours. But, I worked really hard for that one, and I learned a lot. So do you have a standard formula or preference for how you compose your photos? Phil, that is a great question. I personally do not. I mean, there's definitely, all of the composition basics. If you just Google like basics of composition for photography, you'll find some great articles, just as far as like the rule of thirds and symmetry and lines and things like that. But for me, I do have, my undergrad degree is in fine art. And so I do have just a lot of that personally, naturally just comes. And so a lot of my composition is just based on, my own visual preference. But certainly I think it's great to have guidelines. And there are definitely things that I've seen out there that I have, learned and been, oh, that's a new way to change up composition. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll be sure to link it afterward, but Rachel at Two Love Studio, she has a new composition class that you should definitely go check it out. It is a paid course, but girlfriend creates rock star content, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So if you really want to dig into composition, I would highly recommend that. All right, just got Dennis Prescott's cookbook, and you're going to be doing some of his recipes for shoots this weekend. Greg, that is a great idea. And Greg, I don't know if I said hi yet. Greg, I'm glad you're in here. Greg is a member of our very exciting Facebook group. So let's see what else. Oh, let's see, what else have we got? Hello from London. Hi, Darius. I would love to come visit London. And I do have some courses. I'm going to wrap it up here pretty soon, because I've been almost going an hour, and I can't believe that you guys are still here with me. But I'm going to be starting some in-person workshops. The first one's here in Phoenix. So for those of you who I've already heard from who live in, Australia or places outside the United States, much less Arizona, sorry to disappoint, but it'll be really great little first crack. I have taught in-person classes before, but this one is a full day, 8-hour styling, shooting, editing class. So I'm excited to try that one out, see how it goes, see if people are excited about it. And if all goes well, hopefully, knock on wood, or laminate or whatever I've got here, we'll be able to take it on the road. So I've got sites potentially set on San Francisco as well as Denver and New York, because those are all places that, of course, I love. And I also have people there whom I love who would be willing to host me and help connect me with local resources. So if you are in any of those cities, feel free to hit me up, as well as feel free to get on my email list. The way you can do that is sign up for the ebook. You'll be on the email list. I can drop that once again right here. So if you get on the email list, then as those come available, you can definitely opt into them. But I like to keep them small because I'm all about that one-to-one interaction. Hello from Nova Scotia, Chef Mike Moses. I want to go to Nova Scotia. As far as Christina wants to know, as far as the workshops, will I be streaming those live? And I probably won't. We'll probably do a good bit of like BTS and, you know, other behind the scenes stuff. But I really, when I'm in those classes, I want my full focus and attention to be on the people who are there. And so those I will be probably won't be live streaming. And two, because there's something that's kind of lost in those kind of scenarios because they're more long and drawn out. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh, Paris. Thank you, Coco Little Cup. We're going to be changing it here pretty soon. We're still going to keep the gradient. We're going to still keep the color, but it's going to be a different color. It's not going to be purple. I've already done magenta. If you watched the earlier videos on my channel, the first videos, we had magenta. Then we went to this teal. We're changing it up in like a week. So stay tuned. And Heidi, yes, if any of you want to come to Phoenix, then definitely the tickets for that are going to go on sale on Thursday. So if you're on the email list, you will get the information about the tickets for the upcoming workshop. It is April 14th, and it's happening here in Phoenix. And if you are from out of town, I'm also going to be able to connect you with accommodations and things like that. Greg, not a bad idea. Yep, because I got family in Boulder, and I would love to come to Denver. Let's see. All right. Well, I think we've gone through it all. This has been almost an hour. So thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you so much for being a part of my channel and for supporting my crazy ideas. Because, you know, I'm just a goofball hanging out here in the studio and happen to know a couple things about cameras. So I'm glad that it's helping you guys. And certainly as you have requests or questions, I mean, I hear from you guys all the time, but feel free to keep it coming. And if you follow me over on Instagram, I'll be posting some fun stuff over there. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a fantastic day. As always, I hope you stay out of trouble. And I'll see you very soon. Okay? Bye, you guys. Mwah! Adios, amigos, mis muchachos.